This is the Nu U Friends Sunrise Trail share for October 21 was Valentine the Great, and Pedro Zask, the Trailblazer, and Walking the Tightrope, Wire Walker, together, and we're talking about what's really weird going on, and also about our hike adventures of creating a trail in the Baja, and also the real universal trail that we're all on, and recognizing this is the important thing. So the discussion is on the weirdness of this paper that you see at casinos. I was there at a casino and I had a $150 piece of paper, which you turn into the machines and get cash for. But it's not good anywhere else, only in the casino. So if you lose it, it's lost money. But what happened, I met this guy and out on the road at the highway exits, street side, and he was looking for money. So I gave him a little bit. And then, but I after I talked with him, and I even took a picture of him, I've misplaced this piece of paper that I know I had with me. I remember seeing it when I was talking with him. So I actually don't know how he could have gotten it from me. I don't think I just, let it out there to be lost, but somehow it was missing. And then there was another meeting with somebody else in the hotel later on the same day. And this guy was sitting there, a black guy from Mississippi, and we talked quite a bit about everything. The new sunrise, like the fact that we're building something of some kind like that, trailblazing, and but other things, the spiritual, stuff, and the conspiracy contact also was in the discussion, because a lot of people, it almost always comes back to, do you recognize that there's something really strange going on? And I relate that by saying that there is, I think that the entire population is under a spell. And that spell is being indoctrinated by, I would call, most likely the TV, internet, 5G radiation, electronic media complex, and the advertising, etc. All is part of that hypnosis, keeping people locked into its identification, and as they promoting the same religious, business, survival of the fittest, reptilian or / alien indoctrinated concepts, and it's very relevant to absolutely everything that seems to be going on. Just a side thought about it was that I thought that the alien presence, in a sense, is not something that is necessarily visible or even relevant to the moment. In other words, all of it is from the past, and that includes the reptilian influence. which is inbred in the genetics, of course. I think both of them are. But the fact is that these things aren't necessarily prevalent to the human, except for the fact that the humans are following or being obstructed or obstinated. What's the right word? Obfuscated? No. Objectified with it. And that being the case, the sun is coming around on me again, so I'm going to move back. And so, okay, so that the obfuscation or objectification done by identifications, usually mental ideas, but also directly by, things such as sex, race, and I think there's a group of 5 totally: nationality, heritage, that kind of group. And so also the identifications with patriotics, nationalities, and all of that, and also other associations, and naturally the religious, and allowing these things to be the focal point for our identifications instead of our true identification as a being of light and a referenced Solarian, as I call it, which is a solar being with our 5 bodies. And I think that this is the unified approach or valuation. So I like to give it that just for that identifier. Nonetheless, the sublimation or the simulator and its activities through these models is the spell that we could say, or the influence is promulgating through. And this is, kind of a consolidation of the actuality. Do we see this or do we not? And therefore, it becomes important to recognize when we're talking with individuals or groups, whoever, that they are at whatever level they're at, and they also have some level of recognition of this wider scope, which I think is happening in a much larger scale in the human sense. So really, we could throw out the reptilians and the aliens like that, because the humans, if they're acting reptilian, which I notice in the sporting events, and promulgating a certain kind of a survival mode, which is also what they call success, and the real achievement isn't really anything to speak of at all. Won a game, we won the World Series, we won whatever. But it's the activities that we're doing within that teaches and expresses the awareness. Doesn't matter what field it's in, so we're given this opportunity. So that's what I'm seeing with this as a whole. And then just not going into too much details, there is the football. Yesterday there was an event that happened. I happened to catch, because it's interesting. If you fast forward through something, and all of a sudden something catches your eye, and then you go back to it, and you see, okay, this is a primary moment in the game. And what happened in this game was that one of the large linemen was hit pretty hard, pushed backwards, ran into and knocked backwards, and he fell down, and you could see his head hit the ball backwards onto the ground, bounce kind of, and he was taken off the field, maybe with a spinal injury, but I don't know what happened to him. He was conscious, but it was really ugly looking. Not the play so much as I mean, the whole play of that sport is way past the balance point of anything that has to do with health, because there's or naturalness. It's super violent, and of course this gets the crowds going at a fever pitch, and that's the whole idea. And also with the, let's say, the baseball, the other major sport, that you can see that the teams that are winning have bought the players that are the biggest and the strongest and fastest, like all of those attributes. And it's not a balanced competition. And this is happening all across the field. So, especially in the food, medicine, and related business, the media business, etc., the monopoly control and how it works, and or not really working because of its inherent dominations. So we're here kind of caught in the middle of that, we could say, or we don't have to pay any attention to it whatsoever, except for the fact that it seems to be strongly affecting, I guess we could say, between us, our communications, our ability to get communications out, our ability to share. And so, because of that obfuscation of those things, now there's a new movement coming on, which has to do with an independence. And that's where we were talking about this foundation that is created by one of the sons of one of the richest men in the world, as a utility of community, agriculture, economics within the local community structure. And we've also been sharing about the Green Power Lodge, which is another context or concept. They created a model that produces power, has hydroponic garden, greenhouse, and recycle, re-energizing of the soil through what they have called either a gasifier or a dragon as a carbon fuel producer, and recycling and regenerating the soil. So that's a spectacular one of the tech level demonstrations now being created, and there's others. I think there's a huge field in of focus going on with this right now this year, and starting, I would say, 2025 really is where these are going to be implemented, and it will affect economies and consciousness of people. And when they see that the other that they have been objectified by is not providing valid foods, medicines, etc., as an example of that, and also the consciousness or the education for the people. So I'm just bringing that back to you, Val, at the end here about and Baha, because the education model that's we met of with the local Mexican farmer, or couldn't call him a farmer exactly, because he just the property that we were hiked up through with they had the donkeys and the young boys who were trained to learn how to be mechanics, to be farmers, to be self-sufficient. They get educated in all these practical and efficient functioning uses of nature, animals, and plants, and I would say also, even say, let's say, the use of the sun and the energies available to them, air and water, and in particular, because it's mostly all that's needed. And so this is completely outside of that other educational model. And in a way, these people are more pure and more true than anything possible otherwise. And at the same time, not comparing them or saying that they need to fight with each other. It's interesting that it is possible that there's some form of a dynamic model, educational. That's what we're doing in relation, coordinating this real quickly to the Nu U. And the Sunrise Trail is an example of universal hikers on the real path or way or wave that we can take and are on, all of us. So there isn't any getting away from it, but our abilities to integrate or orientate in the pure way, the highway, the true way, if you have to use those terms, just recognizing, and then also, though, having some form to be effective. So we're meeting people of all kinds, like Val has just mentioned to us about the videographer who they came upon together on the trail, tracking a place called Descanso, and that heads off east into the mountains, into the wild, we'll say, and back to the beach. And the towns are mostly built, of course, along the ocean side. And all of this is actually an integrated model that can be dynamically empowered, if you will. And so I guess that's pretty much putting it together for the moment today. Val, what do you think on that?
Great, Peter. Yeah, what we're talking, one little tidbit, we were talking about places to sit when you're a hiker. It's really, you don't realize how nice it is to have a table and a chair and modern conveniences, but out there, to have something like that, it's a real luxury, because you're usually sitting on the ground or a tree stump. It's got jagged edges or something like that. So we thought we probably have some kind of benches, along the trails, and we could, promote the Nu U, have the Nu U on them, paint them or something, but something of that nature, to have sitting places or rest places along the trail would be very nice.
That's a great idea. Absolutely. That's all you need. And those are markers, just like they
Markers.
used to build the stone circles.
Yes.
The Indians did as markers so that people would know this is the way to go to find the water.
Yes.
And or the next station. And right. Yeah. It's a mission building.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the idea with these community networks too. They're network stations, and what do you call life recognition stations.
Mhm.
Because, you know, when you sit down and stop hiking and kind of just hang out and look at where you are, well, that's the best part of the trip.
Yes, very nice. Peter, I got to run, so we'll talk later.
And thanks, Koo.
Okay.
Cool. See you tomorrow
Okay.
then.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Here on the new ark, walking through the dark, no mistakes, all is on the new ark. In a new way, build it, teach it, educate, only need demonstrate. Well, that's a beginning anyway.